The history of South Africa's transition into an apartheid state is a troubling narrative that unfolded against the backdrop of the Cold War. This article serves as a documentary-style exploration of the factors and events that led to the establishment of apartheid in South Africa, unraveling the historical context, key decisions, and the implications of this oppressive system during the Cold War era. Part 1. Colonial Foundations and Racial Hierarchies. The documentary begins by delving into the colonial foundations of South Africa, marked by the arrival of European settlers in the 17th century. The institution of slavery, coupled with the development of racially stratified societies, laid the groundwork for a deeply entrenched system of racial hierarchies. Part 2. The Mineral Revolution and Economic Shifts. The late 19th and early 20th centuries witnessed the discovery of valuable mineral resources, particularly gold and diamonds. The documentary explores how the subsequent mineral revolution led to profound economic shifts, creating tensions over labor, land, and resources between the white minority and the majority black population. Part 3. The Native Land Act of 1913. The Native Land Act of 1913, a pivotal moment in South Africa's history, is analyzed in the documentary. The legislation restricted black South Africans' access to land, forcibly removing many from their ancestral homes and establishing the legal basis for spatial segregation. Part 4. The Rise of Afrikaner Nationalism. The documentary unfolds the rise of Afrikaner nationalism, a political and cultural movement that gained momentum in the early 20th century. Afrikaner nationalists sought to preserve the cultural and racial purity of the white Afrikaner population, leading to the formulation of apartheid as official policy. Part 5. Apartheid's Legal Foundations. The National Party, led by Dr. Daniel Francois Malin, rose to power in 1948 and initiated a comprehensive system of apartheid laws. The documentary explores the legal foundations of apartheid, including the Population Registration Act, Group Areas Act, and the Immorality Act, which institutionalized racial segregation and discrimination. Part 6. The Impact of the Cold War. The Cold War context is examined as a contributing factor to the entrenchment of apartheid. The documentary sheds light on the global geopolitical dynamics that influenced South Africa's position, including Western support for anti-communist regimes and the reluctance of some Western nations to condemn apartheid due to strategic interests. Part 7. International Resistance and Sanctions. As apartheid gained international notoriety, the documentary explores the global response. The United Nations and various nations imposed sanctions, isolating South Africa economically and diplomatically. The anti-apartheid movement gained momentum, with activists and leaders worldwide calling for the dismantling of the oppressive system. Part 8. The End of Apartheid and Nelson Mandela's Legacy. The documentary concludes by tracing the end of apartheid in the early 1990s. International pressure, internal resistance, and the leadership of figures like Nelson Mandela contributed to the dismantling of apartheid. Mandela's release from prison in 1990 and subsequent presidency marked a historic turning point in South Africa's journey toward reconciliation and democracy. Conclusion. The apartheid era in South Africa, as explored in this documentary-style narrative, is a harrowing tale of racial oppression and systemic discrimination. The historical context, legal foundations, and the global implications of apartheid underscore the complexity of this chapter in South Africa's history. The eventual dismantling of apartheid and the emergence of a democratic South Africa led by Nelson Mandela stand as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the global fight against injustice. The documentary emphasizes the importance of understanding this dark period to appreciate the progress made and the ongoing work toward a more inclusive and equitable future.